So phases matter. I want to talk quickly about phases as it pertains to your different costs in your company. When I transitioned from, call it mom and pop shop, into size of needing to put people under me, managers under me, you start to lose the touch or the pulse on everything that you're doing, where you can normally catch it because you look at every piece of paper, every invoice, every time card, every purchase that you make. Well, eventually you grow to be a size where you can't see all that. And the only way to not let money slip through the cracks is to put in procedures. And the one that I'm talking about today is incorporating phases into your company as a whole, from estimating all the way through final job costing. So an example would be where I look at an invoice and I can recognize that something wasn't in the budget because I just happen to know what the budget is and I had a pulse on it, to getting into a part of my company where I didn't understand everything and I didn't know what was happening because I had a bunch of different people creating budgets and I had managers and vice presidents under me reading things, but didn't know that I needed to create phases. So I just happened to grab an invoice and I look at it and I knew that job, and I realized that this particular material that we were paying for wasn't in the budget. So I decided to ask questions, and you start to find out that either the field or the manufacturing facility made a mistake. Okay, well then you can go look at that and find out why, and then you put it to a field error category or phase. Or you find out that maybe something was stolen, you needed to replace it because it was already paid for. Or you find out, this is the other most important part of this, is should it have been a change order? Should you have charged this to the customer because it was additional work? Well, if you don't have phases set up and you just leave it up to your field or your facility to think about the fact that this is additional work, trust me, you will lose $5,000 in that moment, just like I did. Why did I lose it? Because I happened to see this invoice for another reason after the job was over and done and final paid, and you can't go back to the customer at that point and ask them for more money. Had we had the phases set up, we would have recognized that this particular material didn't match up to the phase that we had estimated, and it would have triggered a question, and that question would have came down to the project managers or the field managers, and they would have said it's a change order, and then the manager would have known and they would have charged the additional money, which in this case was $5,000. So just like that, I lose $5,000, and you are too if you're getting to the size where you can't touch everything and if you're not implementing the right procedures. So I encourage you to take a look at phases, try and understand it. If you don't know what I'm really referring to, it's cost codes within your organization that you can match up to estimates and throughout the process manage. It doesn't cost more money. It takes setup and time and accountability with yourself, with your field or your facility. A good example is if you have your phase list or your cost codes, you can make sure that you have a spot on your time cards that says I worked 6 hours on phase 103, and they know what phase 103 refers to. Time cards aren't accepted unless they are cost coded to a particular phase. So consider this, it's crucial. If you don't have it, all the companies that hit this point of growth have it, and the reason they have it is because they realize how much money they lose at some point and they have to implement it. It's not something that I'm making up. It's not something that's abnormal. It's something that is very normal in business. And if you can catch it now while you're growing, rather than later after you're in the middle of growth and you realize that you lose money, you could save yourself. That was just one instance of $5,000. I can only imagine how many other instances fell through the cracks. So hope that helped. Think about your phases. Phases matter.